Hello once again. I'm back again with more used books that I have purchased with my ill-gotten money from all of my illicit inner-city crime activities. Yeah, this weekend I went out to, let's see, what was the name of this friggin' bookstore? Don't look, those are my books. I went to Carpe Librum. Carpe Librum is a bookstore in Washington, D.C., right in the middle of the city. In fact, in an area where you wouldn't think to find a bookstore. It's sort of in so much as there's a business district of Washington, D.C., it's there. And it's tucked away, and it's run by a charity called Turning the Page, which you can find out more about at turningthepage.org. You can't click on this bookmark, sorry, but you can just Google that. It's a pretty cool organization, and they take book donations, all that kind of stuff. You can also rent out their space at Carpe Librum. So if anyone ever wants to do a Fans of Michael meetup club, where you can ask me anything, there would be a good choice. Yeah, that would be a good choice. So I only got 2 books this time. They had a pretty good science fiction section, though. Some solid stuff that you don't always see. Including, we're going to start with the campier of the 2 books, Revolt of the Dwarves, an Endless Quest book. Oh, it still has the sticker on it. Let me get that off. By Rose Estes. Now, a little bit of backstory for those who don't know. This is part of a series, the Endless Quest series, and it was a tie-in, you can see here, inspired by the Dungeons & Dragons game. And this was a series of books that was licensed by Dungeons & Dragons to sort of bring kids in. Think of this as the gateway drug, the marijuana to your Dungeons & Dragons level heroin, or cocaine. I don't know, pick your poison. Or, instead of pick a poison, you could pick a path to adventure! Look at that tie-in. Look at those fingernails, also. Yeah, so it's a choose-your-own-adventure book, as all of these are. And when I was younger, I had, like, a full-on collection, by which I mean I had, like, 3 of these. I had 3 or 4 of these books. Let's see, there's a list of them in the front here. I had Dungeon of Dread, which is a classic dungeon crawl. Mountain of Mirrors, good one. Pillars of Pentagarn. Return to Brookmere. And I did not own this one, but I'm going to find it one day at a used bookstore. Revenge of the Rainbow Dragons. Each one of those words just evolves that title in a new and fascinating way. Anyway, Revolt of the Dwarves, I actually read through it on the metro ride on the way back from the bookstore. It was pretty dumb. It was pretty campy. So it's funny, some of these are actually like genuinely spooky dungeon crawls. Revolt of the Dwarves is not. I mean, it's fun, but this was very kid-y. Like the ending that I got to, which seemed to be one of the better endings. We defeated the Revolt of the Dwarves by enlisting the aid of the Pixies, who turn invisible and shoot the dwarves with their tiny pinprick arrows of forgetfulness, at which point the dwarves forget to revolt. And that's literally the end. I don't know if that was the best end, but maybe it was. So, more reading adventures to be had here. I would like to do one of these like on webcam sometime, but I don't know quite how to integrate. Like, do I show you the picture, that kind of thing? So, maybe if I figure out how to do that someday, we'll do Revolt of the Dwarves. Or, if I can ever find Revenge of the Rainbow Dragons, I will pay to make that into a feature-length movie. Anyway, okay, the second book that I got, and this shouldn't surprise anybody given the past several videos, is a Harlan Ellison collection. Yes, in my continued addiction to Harlan Ellison literature, I purchased Dangerous Visions. Now, Dangerous Visions is sort of Harlan Ellison's big claim to fame. This is, as it says on the back, the most honored anthology of fantastic fiction ever published. Dangerous Visions was originally published, whatever, 1967, I think, or 1968. Anyway, it's a collection of incredible stories that was published mostly to push the boundaries of science fiction. It was an attempt to make and by science fiction I mean speculative fiction, which is actually something that Harlan Ellison really harps on in the intro here, is he refuses to call it science fiction, it's speculative fiction. And it even has this lovely print on the back cover of the original cover for the collection, which is an image going into the eyeball kind of thing. Anyway, there's 32 stories in here, I think. It's a massive collection. And one of the great things about, I was right, it was 1967. One of the great things about Harlan Ellison is that he wrote a lot of stuff in the 60s about speculative fiction fans and sci-fi fans, and how just terrible they can be. And a lot of it still holds up. Like, I'm gonna read this paragraph here, and I want you to think if any of this rings a bell with, say, like Gamergate, or just, you know, anything like that. Just, you know, it maybe rings a bell. And most of those wailing wall aficionados of fantasy fiction hate it, because all of a sudden, even the bus driver and the dental technician and the beach bum and the grocery bag boy are reading his stories. And what's worse, those Johnny-come-latelys may not show the proper deference to the grand old masters of the field. They may not think the Skylark stories are brilliant and mature and compelling. They may not care to be confused by terminology that's been accepted in SF for 30 years. They may want to understand what's going on. They may not fall in line with the old order. They may prefer Star Trek and Kubrick to Barsoom and Ray Cummings. And thus they are the recipients of the fan sneer, a curling of the lips that closely resembles the crumbling of an old pulp edition of famous fantastic mysteries. So what he's writing about there is people reacting in the late 60s to science fiction becoming, speculative fiction, whatever, becoming more popular, becoming read by, you know, the beach bum, the bus driver, as he was saying. If that doesn't sound exactly like the video games are popular and there's, and you know, oh, fake nerds are everywhere crisis that bubbled over in the last couple years, I don't know what does. Harlan Ellison really is a timeless thinker. I mean, he wrote many things about his era, about his time when he was alive, that are still just as relevant to this day. Yeah, Harlan Ellison, everyone should read. I've read Dangerous Visions before. I've read most of the stories in here, but I'd never owned a collection, and this is a nice, solid 35-year anniversary collection with like 6 introductions from different authors. Honestly, the introductions themselves are worth buying the book for, even if you don't read any of the stories. The introductions are classic Harlan Ellison, who's just a caustic, bitter old dick, basically. Anyway, so that was all I got this time. Revolt of the Dwarves and Dangerous Visions. They had a lovely illustrated edition of the Kama Sutra, which I did not purchase, but maybe next time. Maybe next time. So let me know if there's any bookstores in the area. One of my friends, Allie, who follows this blog and writes for Pudding Shot, has suggested McKay's in Manassas, Virginia, so maybe I'll take a trip out there sometime. She said they have a like warehouse-esque science fiction section, which sounds awesome. So anyway, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you around.